All right, state attorneys general standing as the last line of defense against the Biden administration's policies and big agenda. The Missouri, Arizona, and Louisiana AGs are suing Biden for ending Title 42. An explosion of migrants crossing the border is expected when the Trump-era policy is lifted next month on May 23rd. Joining me right now is the man himself from Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt. AG Schmitt, it's good to see you. What are you expecting once Title 42 is lifted? We've spoken with a lot of border agents, and I know you've said in the past every state is a border state with all of the influx of people coming through. So give us your expectations.
It's going to be a tidal wave of illegal immigration. I mean, we've dealt with waves and waves of this, but some estimates the number could double, 18,000 a day. And it's just another piece of Joe Biden's agenda to systematically dismantle our border security that President Trump had put together in a very serious way, in a very effective way. So if you take a step back here, Title 42 accounts for about 50% of the expulsions in this country at the border. The other piece to that was the Remain in Mexico policy, which made Mexico the waiting room for those seeking asylum. About 9 out of 10 of those are bogus, by the way. Missouri and Texas has taken that to the Supreme Court. We've won. It's back in the lower courts. It's actually going back to the Supreme Court, too, but we're fighting with the Biden administration to actually get that implemented. You also have, as we found out when we were down at the border, Maria, a couple months ago, that they're paying contractors literally to not construct the border wall. Then the materials are on the ground rusting. So we paid for the materials. They could go up and be an effective deterrent. It's not. Biden is paying these contractors to not construct it. It just is. It's a disaster, and it's about to get worse because we're going to see a surge anyway for this time of year. And you take away an effective tool like Title 42, it's just going to be a mess. And that's why Missouri, Arizona, and Louisiana filed suit.
Well, when we were at the border, I saw you at the border a couple of months ago. We both learned at the same time when we heard the border agents tell us that the drug cartels are making $100 million a week. I mean, how extraordinary is that these illicit drug cartels are calling the shots on who gets into America and pocketing $100 million a week? What is this policy?
Yeah. They control the border, Maria. And that was, by the way, if you remember that law enforcement agent who told us that was the human smuggling alone. That wasn't even the drug activity. Right. $100 million was the value of the human smuggling. That didn't even take into account the illegal drugs that are coming across. And so it's a total disaster. There's nothing compassionate about this policy. There are people who are, obviously being taken advantage of, too. But you're also having criminals come across the border. We don't know who these people are. The cartels are using their infrastructure that they, traffic drugs, they traffic human beings. And up and down the border, the cartels are making a lot of money on this. And when Joe Biden does things like this and signals that he's going to lift Title 42, it is an open invitation to these cartels that extend their networks down to South America to run people. And so you've got, Russian assets coming across. You've got the Chinese dumping fentanyl, making its way through, killing people in our communities all across the United States. The overdose numbers are going through the roof. This has to stop. But Joe Biden's doing the exact opposite. And so, again, as you said, it's up to the states to push back, and we're going to do it.
Well, I mean, the lieutenant governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, joined me the other day on Wall Street, the weekend program on Fox Business, and he said this is all intentional. This is the policy out of this administration. He broke down these explosive numbers on the border. Listen to this.
Over 20 years, we've added millions and millions of illegal immigrants to this country. But right now, in the first term, Maria, of Biden, if this continues, we will have about 30 million people come here illegally because we apprehended about 2.5 million last year. If we get 1 out of 3, that's 7.5 million. Multiply that by 4 years, and it's getting even larger numbers. That means, Maria, in his first term, more people will come here illegally than live in the state of Texas.
So, AG, he wants it that way then. I mean, how do you see it any other way?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is part and parcel of the reality. We are not having traditional political debates in this country right now because the Democrats want to add the level of lawlessness here with 30 million people coming here illegally. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They're 2 votes away from doing that. They're 2 votes away from adding states to the union. They want to federalize the elections across this country. They are playing for keeps. And I think a reckoning is coming in November, and they know that. And so they're going to do everything they can between now and then to fundamentally change this country. And it's up to us to push back and save America.
Well, you talk about November. You're running for U.S. Senate in Missouri. Tell me about the campaign. How's it going? And what are you expecting in terms of the seats that could flip in the Senate come November?
Well, we need reinforcements to save America, Maria. I mean, I mentioned those big fights that are coming. They're all going to roll through the United States Senate. I think Missourians want a proven conservative fighter. That is certainly my record as Attorney General, whether it was going to the Supreme Court on the OSHA vaccine mandate and winning, the Remain in Mexico win. A lot of those big fights we've taken on CRT and mask mandates back home. And so that's been my record. It's resonating with Missourians. I feel like we're in a good position. But in a broader context, it's a 50-50 Senate. I mean, all these states are going to matter. And, you know, the road to the majority is going to run right through the show me state here. I think we're in a good spot. But the stakes are very high. And you need candidates who understand those stakes and who are unafraid and are willing to take on these big institutions, big tech, and, you know, the Biden administration, no question.
Yeah. So who hears these cases? How many times have you sued the administration? You just went through the vaccine mandate and as well as other suits. And who hears the cases? What should we expect from this Title 42 case?
Yeah, it's been filed by those three states, obviously, and we're going to move for the preliminary injunction to get that to get a temporary hold on that to essentially stave off the May debt when he intends to actually reverse it in May. Because, as I said, it's a terrible time to do it. I'll also point out that later this month, in the last week in May, we'll be in front of the Supreme Court again on the Remain in Mexico policy. We've also, as I mentioned, filed with Texas that case to actually finish the border wall. The president actually has no authority under the Constitution to not spend the money that Congress has appropriated to go do that. So all these are going to, you know, move as quickly as we possibly can. Time is of the essence because, as we mentioned, they, you know, the Biden administration, they're playing for keeps. So they want to fundamentally change this country, and their immigration policy is a part of that.
Apparently. AG, good to see you. Thanks very much. We'll be watching all of that. Attorney General of Missouri, Eric Schmitt. Thank you.